Hey, what's going on, everyone? This is Eric B. Horn, and welcome to Ask Eric B. Live. I've done this live stream before on a couple of social media platforms, but I wanted to try something new and stream specifically on YouTube, my new Twitch channel. I'm still trying to understand this overall Twitch concept, and my Facebook Live. So I'm streaming for all three. Today's date is October 6, 2020. Hope everyone is doing well. I'm pretty sure the entire nation is on pins and needles when it comes to the overall election. We're almost home, right? Slow and steady wins the race. I'm pretty sure, hopefully, anyone that's looking at this live stream, they did go out and vote. If you did not vote, please do not complain about anything because voting is the one of the best things that you can do to have your voice heard. I mean, I'm not a politician or a political expert, but you definitely have to use voting as one of the things that you can do to have your voice heard, right? But this is not a political live stream. This is more geared towards your career and your overall business. So what I want to do today is talk about knowing your professional worth. And what do I mean by that? You have to value yourself as a human being. You have to value yourself um, just living your life every single day. But specifically when it comes to your overall and your career and your business, you really need to know what you are worth. And I sent out a message to a couple of my friends and just asking them, what's your professional worth? And some people gave me, the amount of money that they make, or some people just gave me their overall perception and how they manage their overall brand to deem themselves as being valuable. So I took all the information and I applied what I thought it would be. So I wanted to touch base, or at least give you three things that you can do to know what your overall professional worth is. Now, even before I go into this spiel, this is specifically geared towards your career business. This has nothing to do with your worth as a human being, your worth as a spouse, your worth as a parent. So I don't want anybody to look at these three things and think that they are not worthy, right? You can be a wonderful husband, wonderful wife, be a wonderful parent. But when it comes to the area of knowing your professional worth, that's a whole nother ball game because someone else is determining your overall value, your overall worth, as opposed to you determining how valuable you are as an overall human being. So this is specifically geared towards knowing your professional worth in your career or your business. So a quick story. When it comes to knowing what your professional worth is, it's sometimes a little scary because if someone deems for you to be less valuable than you think you are, it can oppose some sort of conflict, not in a bad way, or at least a difference of opinion. Where if someone thinks professionally you are worth this amount based off of your skills and your experience, but you feel that you are at another level, you need to definitely have some information to back yourself up with that. You need hard data, hard facts to prove that you are worth what you are worth. And as a disclaimer, you have a lot of businesses and a lot of people who are hiring people right now that they're lowballing individuals. And if anybody on here that doesn't know what lowballing is, that means you are being offered amount of money or offered any type of benefits or whatever have you lower than what you are worth. I see it all the time, and even in some instances in my business, I go through it where someone has. For those who don't know, I do have my own business, and I know where my value lies, and that value lies in not only me just saying that I'm very valuable, but I've put some points on the board. I've helped businesses and helped my clients get to some substantial goals. And when someone approaches me and say they want to work with me or they want me to help them out with their business or their career, sometimes I have to go back and forth with them from a negotiation standpoint and prove to them this is the reason why I know that I'm worth X amount of money. Majority of the time it works and the client does go with me, but then there's other individuals that feel that my prices are quote unquote too high in a sense. That's fine and dandy, but I deem not to lower my prices. I just deem to keep moving in the right direction, right? Because once again, I know what my overall value is, and if someone doesn't see that, that's fine because I already know that I have tons of people that do see my value and willing to pay what I'm offering. And if I don't fight for those prices, or if I don't even set a certain tone to say, okay, I'm worth this amount and I'm not going back any further, people will continuously to lowball me. And usually that's when somebody's a company or business goal is get the best service at the cheapest price. However, you have people that wouldn't pay more than, you know, $25 an hour for a service, but then you have some people based off of the value that you can bring to the table, they'll pay $250 or they'll pay $5,000. You have individuals out there that are willing to pay those price points, but you definitely have to make sure that you establish your overall value. So based off of that, when you want to get to the point where you want to know what your professional worth is, the first thing you want to do is assess your current skills. What are you currently good at and what do you currently do? Now, this can fall in any and every aspect from a career and business professional. You need to know as the person what skills you have in your toolkit and how you implement those overall skills, right? One of the biggest eye openers for me in the very beginning of my career was my first IT job. It was $35,000, and that was a PC tech. Now that was in 2003. However, if I really didn't know what my overall I didn't know what my overall value was because I was fresh out of college, went behind the ears, and my main thing was I just needed to get a job, right? And I'm pretty sure there's a lot of college graduates who are in that position right now because they feel that they have student loans to pay and they need to make money at the end of the day, which is totally understandable. However, I did not have the right skill sets for me to ask for 75 to $85,000 a year. I just didn't have it. I didn't have the overall skill sets, nor did I have the overall experience. So with me knowing that, even though I should have still done my due diligence, I could have gotten maybe 40,000 or maybe even 50,000 if I pushed it. But with me not knowing what my current skills were, I was in a position to get lowball. Now, don't get me wrong, it was a starting point, and for the next 4 years, I really didn't get paid what I was quote unquote worth because I started off very low. But I started off very low because I really didn't have a true understanding of my current skills. So you must have a very good understanding of one, not only knowing what your current skills are, but even more importantly, know what other skills you need to continue to push that value ladder. It was amazing to me where I was making $35,000 a year, but there were other talented individuals around me who knew more and had a stronger skill set. Not necessarily saying that they worked harder than me because I pride myself of outworking the majority of the people that I was working around. But since I didn't understand my current skill set, I was able to get lowball. It was a huge lesson. So if there's anyone looking at this live stream right now and they feel that they, may not know what they're worth, the first stepping stone that you need to come across is knowing what your current skills are. Number two, when you are in the process of knowing your professional worth, know what others are paying. There are plenty of websites and other tools that compare and contrast your current skill sets and your current experience and what these current companies are paying. You have you have websites like glassdoor.com, or you have other other websites like salary.com, which will give you all the information that you need and what companies are paying. It even drills down to a particular region and industry and the overall function. Utilize these tools so you have the best understanding of what people are paying in your particular industry. Now, 10 years ago, when these websites didn't exist, it was very hard to gauge. You have to do more extensive research, and you probably even had to get to the point where you had to ask certain people how much would, if I had this amount of experience doing this, how much money would I can make. Now it's easy to the point where you can actually go on your phone or go on your computer or laptop, type in this information so you have a number to work with, because that's one thing that you're going to need to have. You're going to need to have some sort of number to work with, because when you go through the process of going for a job or negotiating, you doing some type of service, eventually they're going to ask you what your price point is. And if you really don't know what people are accepting or asking for, you're going to be behind the bus and put yourself in a position where you try to get lowballed again. So you definitely, once you assess your current skills, you definitely have to know what others are paying. And the way you go about that is do your overall research. Once again, go to either glassdoor.com, salary.com, and I'm pretty sure there are other tons of websites that you can use to do your due diligence, do your research, so you have an understanding of what your value is based off of your skills and your experience. So you go to those two pieces. And the last tip that I have for you, it's somewhat of a risk, but I'm willing to do it at any given moment, because now with me having the best understanding of what my overall value is, I have no problem but be willing to walk away from an overall deal. It's business, it's not personal. So if someone offers you an overall opportunity, and if you've done your due diligence and you know what you are worth, from a salary perspective or from a business perspective, and it doesn't hit your mark, you always have the room to negotiate. You know, an old slogan is there's always room to negotiate, which is true. So definitely be willing to negotiate, because the first time that someone throws you an offer in business or in a career, it's going to be at a low point. So it's always good to start high and then can figure out a way how you can, they're going to work you down, but then you come into the middle. So you are happy based off of the salary or the fee that they're giving you. And then the person that's offering the salary or the fee is good also. There's always some sort of meeting point. But sometimes after back and forth, after overall negotiation, be willing to walk away. It is a risk. However, I've gained a couple of clients based off of the fact that me be willing to walk away. And sometimes be willing to walk away, sometimes you can't do it. But if you're in a position where you want to stand on and hold your ground based off of the value that you know that you bring to the table, and you want to be compensated with that, be willing to walk away. Because once again, if you have the data that if in the particular area that you're in, the company is willing to pay you X, you have this hard data. So just because this person or this company may not pay your fee or pay your salary, that doesn't necessarily mean the next person will. Excuse me, the next person won't. It is a risk, but it's a risk if you accept whatever they're offering and you know it's beneath what you really want. You know, and I understand times are hard and people are looking for jobs, but you really want to be very, very careful when you go about this, because once you make the decision that you will accept that salary or that fee, there's no going back. There's no renegotiation. So many people make the mistake of lowballing themselves, and then they put in the time, the effort, and the energy, and then they discover that they are a high value individual and they bring a lot of value to the table. Then they want to renegotiate, but you already, the door has been closed, and you put yourself in a position where even though you knew that you were worth a lot more from the salary perspective or a lot more from the fees perspective, but you made the conscious decision to accept whatever they offered you. If it gets to that point, you have to hold yourself accountable and say, this is your fault that you took the overall low salary. That was one of the things that I had to get over with my first job, knowing that other people were making $15,000 to $20,000 more than me. I had to come to the understanding that I did not do my due diligence. I didn't figure out what I was worth, so I had to accept what was offered, and I couldn't go back and change that. Now, after a couple years, I've gotten promotions, but even though I got a promotion every year, I still was never at the salary that I should have gotten in the very beginning. Now, in this day and age, I'm more than willing to walk away from a business deal or a particular job if they're not paying me what I'm worth. Not to be a tough guy, but you have to stand for something. You know, if you don't stand for something, you'll fall for anything, or in this case, you're accepting anything. So really do not put yourself in that overall position. So I'm hitting to the 16-minute mark. This is a Friday, so I really didn't want to take your guys' time. But when you are understanding and going down the road and knowing your professional worth, you once again must know these three things. One, assess your current skills. What are the current skills that you have, and more importantly, the skills that you would need to learn to always continue to gain a higher value of yourself and the skills that you have. Number two, what others are paying. Do your research, do your due diligence on what people are paying right now. The data and the numbers don't lie. Now, the numbers may not be 100% exact, but then you have a ballpark figure. For example, if people are in Chicago are paying IT professionals $60,000, so then you can use a range. Oh, my salary would be between $60,000 and $70,000. So you're not lowballing yourself, but at the same time, it's giving yourself a range, and it opens up the lane for negotiation for the person, because the person already knows what their budget is. So once you give them that number, that's when the negotiation piece will start. And then last but not least, if it gets to the point where you guys are going back and forth and it seems like it's not going anywhere, be willing to walk away. Once again, it is a risk, but it's a bigger risk of accepting what the salary, accepting what the fee is, knowing that it is a lot lower than what you are worth. So if you guys had any questions, comments, concerns based off of the three tips that I talked about with knowing your professional worth, feel free to comment below, and I'll see you guys tomorrow. This is Eric B. Horn, and thank you again for tuning in to Ask Eric B. Live. Have a good one.